Hello, I'm Glenn Parry and welcome to Strategies for Sustained Research Funding. This is a talk I gave at the British Academy of Management Becoming a Research-Oriented Professor event held at the Institution of Structural Engineers in April 2023. So I thought I'd take a look at how my different projects evolved. So I started as a research associate many years ago, looking at manufacturing engineering projects and then service engineering. That evolved into digital engineering, and that flowed through looking at business models and how digital services develop. We looked at, when Uber was a new thing, we looked at Uber in London, and more recently we've been looking at digital services for trains. As part of that early work, we were looking at blockchain. That's more recently led to Decade, where we're looking at how blockchain may be applied in industry. Blockstart was a European project that we were looking at how blockchain may help SMEs. As part of the business model work, that's evolved into a project looking at redistributed manufacturing for cancer care drugs. Going back in time again, we did some work on costing avionics, and that team more recently put together a bid looking at transdisciplinary design engineering. What that means is to solve complex problems, you need disciplines to work together. And how do you do that in an effective way? How do you transcend the individual disciplines? I've also done some work more in the sort of charitable public sector. So Linkage was supporting a company that supports older people in Bristol and how they can have better social lives. Beyond the Gate was supporting prisoners as they come out of prison and move into jobs. Bristol and Bath by Design was looking at why is the Bristol and Bath region a centre for design. These works sort of led on to a community business PhD studentship, a PhD student on design migrations, and a PhD studentship looking at innovation centres. So you can see these themes, and actually the people and the themes sort of flow together and we move along. These are the current projects. So collaboration really is key to success. This is Dr. Cameron Jones, who the first paper I ever published with. But since then, I have published with an awful lot of people, raised money with an awful lot of people. And this is only some of the people I collaborate with, because finding their photos took a very long time, but it was a lot of fun. And there are many more. So why should you bid for money? Well, funding brings you autonomy. You can do the things you want. It gives you time and resources. It also helps your career and promotion. Truthfully, our metrics are teaching quality, papers, money, and impact. Those are the things that make you a good academic. Anyone can be popular by giving away free lollipops. University really is ultimately a business. So someone is paying. People will value things more if you're paid for them. So think about your research and who will want to pay for it. How can you realize that value? So instead of just publishing papers that maybe no one's going to read it, if somebody's paid you, then they're going to have a much stronger interest in what you're doing. You do get to work with interesting people you like and do interesting things. That's really the value of having research money. You get to recruit people, work in teams, and deliver interesting projects that you want to do. Well, to get the money, you're going to have a great idea. So what's a great idea? Well, you're going to have academic novelty. You're going to have to do something new. It's got to have a contribution. The science behind it must be rigorous and sound. There's got to be a need, and your idea really needs to have impact. You've got to engage the reader. An impact can be, saving money. It can be policy. It can be environment. It can be people. More jobs saved, safety. The timing has to be right to do it now. You've got to make the case that this research needs to be done now. Now's the moment for it to be done. You have industrial government partners who contribute time and effort and maybe even money. It's very difficult to get cash, but you can cost their time in. And that helps people see, oh yeah, these are companies, these are organizations, this is part of government who are really interested in this work. You have to have the right team. You have to have a team that you can trust, a team that you can work with, because if you get the money, you're going to have to deliver. All great ideas will be funded. I say that with optimism and my fingers crossed. Do a sanity check. Some of my greatest ideas really aren't in the light of day. Share your ideas, preferably with business partners, friends, colleagues. Do they stand up to criticism? And then you've got to ask, is it really important to know the answers? There's some great ideas you can see here. That's actually a give your baby fresh air cage by dangling it out of a balcony. I'm not sure that's a great idea. Now it's time to look for a funder. Who's the right funder? There are a large number of organizations who fund research. Funders specialize in different disciplines. You may bid outside your core areas. Some are academic-led, some require a business lead. Could a business fund your work directly if it's that important? But I always say, well, be careful if you're bidding outside your core areas, particularly if you're leading, because other disciplines will examine your work in a very different way, will judge it in a very different way. And be realistic about how much you need. Funders have different grant sizes. Sometimes you just need a small amount, so you target those small grants. There are many options in different bodies, government departments, industry charities, etc. And these are just some of them that I've been successful in getting funding from. There are a great number of funders out there. Always carefully read funding calls. You need to be really careful in the way you read and make sure you're right across the detail. List the call requirements in your bid. Clearly restate them so that you can show this is what you asked for, this is how I meet the bid, a requirement. Some reviewers of your bid may not have read the call as diligently as you, so make it clear to them what was in the call. Tell them why your bid meets the requirement. If you do that really clearly, then your bid will start to be the one that others are judged against, saying, well, these are the requirements because they've told us and they really meet them, but do the others not? Become the benchmark. Remember that somebody wrote the bid application documents with a very clear idea of the research that they wanted to get done. You can bend your work to fit, but you mustn't bend it too far. Don't bid if your idea doesn't fit. You're wasting your time, you're wasting their time, and you'll just get rejected. So don't stretch the bounds of credibility. Sometimes your idea just isn't aligned with what they want. Applications often have set forms, but even so, I tend to follow a similar structure. First up is I put a vision, one paragraph on the research question, what we'll do, how and who benefits, making clear what the grand challenge is, what I'm addressing. Then I'll set out the importance, national or international, what's the need, the opportunity, why do I need to do that now, who cares? And I'll use, the grey literature, the academic literature, statistics to show that this is an important issue to address. Research challenges. What challenges are you going to address? What methods are currently used? Research aims, objectives, set them out in work packages. So we've got the challenges, which leads to aims and objectives, which we then address in work package. Each work package needs to be clearly boundaried with a clear objective linking to your ROs, which link to your RCs. And then tasks. Try and be specific, saying exactly what work items you're going to do. What will you actually deliver? So you can list a set of deliverables. And then if you create a nice Gantt chart, you can show the dependencies between the different work packages. Be careful, particularly if you're working on a large project, that you don't have too many dependencies because some people might be late, some bits, this is research, so some bits should fail, and you've still got to be able to deliver. Structuring like this helps the reader understand how the challenges lead to impact through output. It'll also help you a great deal when you actually, should you be successful, come to manage this project. You've got a much clearer idea of how everything links together. Ethics is integral to all your research. Now, you can all write ethical approvals, but consider morals and values as well. Now, ethics are just external rules that guide behaviour. Morals are the individual's own drivers of behaviour, and values are the principles that govern them. So maybe you could agree a set of values for working together. You could look at the morals of the individuals and make sure, therefore, that everything that is done is ethical. Consider the ethics requirements of the work and how you can lessen any negative impacts. Make ethics part of the research process. Every meeting, discuss, are we working ethically here? Really tease apart what we can do to make honesty part of the team working. Really thinking about the morals, including in the big process how you're going to embed ongoing ethical practice. And again, this is a silly thing really, the Daily Mail test. If a journalist got hold of your work and wanted to write a negative story, what could they write? How could they pick you apart? Start from there and think, okay, what can I do that's truly ethical, moral, and adheres to good value principles? Finances and people really determine the scope of what you're going to be able to do. It is useful to know rough costs. It's going to cost you about £80,000 per annum for a researcher. This is, 2022, 23 costs. 10% of PI co-I time is normal for UKRI, but that can vary. At the moment, it's £1,000 ballpark national conference, £2,000 plus for an international conference, plus subsistence. Again, the costs are going up horribly at the moment. Air travel, cost of food in America particularly is very high. Add costs for local travel, interviews, transcriptions, all this sort of stuff you need to consider in your costings. Finances normally need to be completed by a bid finance expert within a university. You can't do it yourself, and that may take a couple of weeks. You need to complete your costing early. It's easy to negotiate your total budget in a bigger team if you know what you're going to need. Ideally, identify your researcher beforehand. Advertising or recruitment takes at least 3 months. If you have a 6 or 12-month contract, you'll struggle to recruit. And whoever you recruit will be immediately looking for a job elsewhere because they've got no job security. And if you lose them, how are you going to write up? Let's consider legal. Intellectual property is often a question. Are you generating IP of value? But really, are you in a position to protect it? How could it be used to generate revenue without you? So think about what you're doing. Collaboration agreements always take ages to agree. Multi-organizational projects require them. There are standard forms, Brunswick Academic Collaboration Agreement. Different universities have subtly different versions. You may also see something called Lambert agreements, which are similar. Large companies often have their own. This can create conflicts. Be prepared, it can take months. You have to chase it. And often financial payments are delayed until everything's signed up. It's quite difficult to get these things done. So again, give yourself time. Okay, I'm in the management school. Unpopular opinion, I'm less concerned with IP. It's difficult to protect or defend legally. And really, I want to publish my ideas and have impact and engagement. So I'm normally happy enough to give away most of the IP. That's probably not the case in specific, in all contexts, but really think about truly, is the IP you're going to generate monetizable, or do you really just want to publish that paper? Okay, so running any project is running a startup or a small business. All the elements, employees, finance, suppliers, and resources. If you're a PI, you're going to be the CEO. You might like to be a co-I to learn the ropes first. Stick next to the PI and see how they do. You need to develop a co-I and PI track record really to get those larger awards. Yeah, you might get lucky and get a large award early on, but that's pretty stressful because you're going to have to do this job. It's hard work, it's stressful, and now you're researching against a time scale to deliver novel findings so you can deliver against the money that you've just taken. So before you're bidding, make sure you're happy with the project, you're happy with the partners, and you actually want to do this work. Again, unpopular opinion, you never get all the time you need, so this will eat into any research allocation time that you have. Creating impact is important. Impact cases were 25% of the ref value. An impact case brings in more money than an academic publication. A 4-star impact case, for instance, ballpark is valued at around 324,000, whereas a 4-star academic journal publication is valued something between 5 and 25,000. So a significant difference. Impact is evidenced by explicit citations that your work somehow improved policy, people, environment, money. And so as you go along, collect signed testimonies, ideally on letterheaded paper, from your partners in industry or government or wherever they are, saying you did this and this was the impact. Dissemination is important for impact, but it's easier to impact through engagement. Write a clear plan on how your work will be received and acted upon by key people. Co-created research is much more likely to engage in impact. So working with industry to set, or government organisations, to set the challenges. If you have key context, plan succession within organisations, because people leave all the time. And it's very frustrating when you're working closely with a manager and they turn around and say, oh, sorry, I'm going to leave to this organisation. You say, right, who's taking over from you? I really need to sustain this relationship and make sure that person buys into my project. You can put marketing into the budget. You can present work everywhere. You need travel money. You need to write papers, make presentations, make videos, write grey literature or press pieces, share on social media, really push your work. So I regularly bid with the same team, the same people, and I have done for years. We fail often. I've had 30 successful proposals. I've had 25 failures, but I've also withdrawn 13. And, people say you can resubmit. Really, we've only resubmitted 3. Why have I withdrawn quite a lot? It's because I didn't feel it was right. I didn't feel it was ready. Or I didn't feel it met the call properly. I think it's better to withdraw your application than putting the application in and ultimately wasting everybody's time. And it's better just not to. Never give up. It is hard work, but it is really worth doing. So the overall message, you need to collaborate to achieve more. Build those relationships, work with interesting people, develop your niche, your interests, and try and stay with them and be flexible. Talk to interesting people to explore how whatever your discourses are overlap with their works. Have coffee with a lot of people, spend time on Zoom, share your interests, and you'll see how your ideas and their ideas fit together and might address really interesting challenges. And make sure you deliver. If you deliver at least your part, then those people will want to work with you again. So if you've got any questions, put them in the links below. There's lots of ways of getting in contact with me. So I hope this has been useful and good luck.